Optimizing this one hidden metric will allow you to double, triple, or even quadruple your sales team's performance. And if you're thinking or wondering why should you even pay attention to me or listen to me, to give you some quick context, my name is Manusas, and I've been working with hundreds of entrepreneurs like Jordan Platten, Thomas Gannett, Matt Shields, Nathan Nazareth, hundreds of high-performing entrepreneurs, sales professionals, and executives to help them maximize their mental performance so they can scale their business, perform at their best, and achieve superhuman performance. So I will walk you through my exact protocol that I've used with all of these high-performing entrepreneurs to help them maximize their productivity, work output, mental performance, so they can make more money and produce at a higher level. And you can copy this exact protocol for yourself, or I can even walk you through how this would be applicable for your own sales team specifically. Now, if you're wondering who is this for, this is for you if you have a great sales team, but you want to maximize their performance and work output. If you feel like your sales team is underperforming, if you want to have a proven and repeatable system that will allow your sales team to get a competitive edge and perform at a 0.1% level, if you want to ensure your team is in peak health and performance, if you want somebody to keep you and your sales team accountable to a high standard of performance, and if you're a high-performing sales professional or executive and want to maximize your own mental performance and work output. So I'm going to walk you through the exact protocol that I've used personally so you can copy this for yourself and maximize your mental performance or your sales team's mental performance so they can make you more money. If this followed properly, this document can easily double, triple, or as I said, even quadruple your sales team's work output and closing rate. And to drive this point home, let's take your best closer, for example, and measure their average level of performance. Their energy levels, their sharpness, their clarity, and their focus from a scale of 1 to 10. 1 means I can't keep my eyes open from a lack of energy, and 10 means I am on 100 energy drinks, and I can take call after call after call for 24 hours without even needing to close my eyes. Now, what we've found after working with hundreds of executives, sales reps, agency owners, and overall entrepreneurs is that this number is usually around the 4 to 6 mark, which is a 5 if we average out. So let's say your best closer takes 5 sales calls a day, and with a conservative, super conservative 20% closing rate, he manages to close 1 deal and collect an average about $4,000 per day. Across the month, this is around 20 sales and $80K cash collected. So this is the math. 100 calls per month at 20% closing rate is 20 sales at $4K per call. This is around $80K per month. Now, the only thing that we left out from this equation is the performance level. Now, so let's redo the equation and dive a bit deeper to see how this 5 out of 10 or 50% performance level is affecting your team's closing rate, work output, and cash collected. This is the one hidden metric. In the picture that I shared above, the metric that has the highest level of impact is the closing rate. So let's say if we take 100 calls and we increase the closing rate from 20% to 30%, then we're adding an extra 10 sales. So an extra 40K. So it has a huge impact. If we increase the number of calls, if we do like 110 calls at 20%, it's not going to have the same effect. Let's see the variables that influence your team's closing rate the most. This number here. It's going to be your offer. So if the market that you're selling is resonating with your offer, right? The closer's sales skills, if your closer has been trained by a guy on Fiverr or Upwork for $50 per month, or if your closer has been trained from, Cole Gordon or Jeremy Miner or the top people in the space, or Andy Elliott or Alex Ramosi for $50K per week, whatever. The lead quality. Lead quality means how qualified are your leads. So those are the 3 variables that typically are going to be the highest levers to pull to optimize your closing rate. But what about mental performance? What about your closer's mental performance? Because let's say, for example, everything is a 10 out of 10 from the things that we shared here. Does this mean that the closing rate is going to be at 100%? Well, no. Because what if they're tired? What if they're foggy and can't articulate their words properly? What if their lack of focus caused them to miss important ammunition words the prospect said on the call? What if they're stressed out and start burning out after a couple of calls? These issues will affect your closer's closing rate. And this means that besides the three variables, offer, sales skills, and the lead quality that we saw above here, as you see, the other key variable that will also affect your team's closing rate, which is the hidden metric that I was talking about, is their level of mental performance. And more specifically, number 1, energy levels, number 2, mental clarity, and number 3, focus. So now let's do the sales equation again, but this time let's also calculate the variable of mental performance as well. So again, let's take your best closer and say he's closing at a 20%. Let's say your offer, let's be realistic. Let's say your offer is a 7 out of 10, their sales skills is a 7 out of 10, and the lead quality is a 7 out of 10 as well. But let's say their energy levels, mental clarity, and focus are the average that we walked through before. So a 5 out of 10. The things that impact your closer's closing rate as well. Okay, energy, mental clarity, and focus. Those three variables make up the mental performance, as we saw. So this acts like a multiplier, because if you have higher energy levels, higher mental clarity, and higher focus, that will contribute to being a higher level of mental performance overall. So this is like a multiplier, adding to the closing rate percentage. So let's say the offer, sales skills, if we want to improve the closing rate without improving your sales skills or offer, let's see how we do it. Let's say those three variables remain the exact same, but the only thing you change is your closer's energy levels, mental clarity, and focus. So let's say we take that from a 5 to an 8, which is not really hard to do. That is going to add to the multiplier. So your performance level will go from a 1 to a 2. Now, this is something that I created to kind of like help you understand the fact of how increasing energy levels, mental clarity, and focus can allow you to increase closing rate. So the performance level went from a 1 to a 2. It's literally doubled. And as a result of that, this acts like a multiplier to the closing rate. And we can see that the optimized closing rate is at a 40%. But you're probably like, this is total BS, and how does this make any sense? And I get it. It probably doesn't make any sense. Because having your sales team go from a 5 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10 in regards to their energy levels, productivity, mental clarity, and focus will not just increase their closing rate by a merely 40%. It just doesn't make sense. And let me help you understand why. Because it will probably also allow them to improve their sales skills faster and articulate themselves better on the calls. They will have more energy, more focus, they're more recovered, and are able to stay more focused on the calls and retain information from the calls that you coach them or from the training that you have them to go through, because their brain just works better. It will stay concentrated on what the prospect says on each call. They were probably going to be in a better mood and more positive. They're going to be more coachable on your leadership calls and your coaching calls or from your sales trainer. And they're probably going to have more motivation and drive to improve their own performance. So yes, their closing rate will highly likely increase more than 2x, will more than double. Now, this probably doesn't mean anything, since you might think that I'm a bit biased to say this, because this is my offer, this is what I do for a living. So let me show you some real life examples. We have Ruben Senna, who went from not even hitting his KPIs to exceeding his sales targets by 100,000%. And you can see that interview by clicking this here. I'm going to leave the link from this document that I'm walking through in the description, so you can walk through everything yourself. We have Priyank Mohan, who increased his productivity by 700% and tripled his sales in 2 months. And you can see this video here that I'm not bullshitting you. Matthew Kim, who doubled his sales in 90 days. Along with Elijah Kim, they have an agency, and Matthew Kim does the sales. So he's the sales guy in this agency, and he doubled his sales in 90 days. Marcus Pizarro, also agency owner, and at the time that we worked together on this and we integrated this protocol, he was doing his sales himself, and he doubled his sales in 2.5 months. Brady Carlson, the same exact situation, does his sales. He went from 10K to 50K in 5 months. And a lot of other people. I don't want to waste your time going through all those case studies, but you have the link to go through all those videos on all those interviews and all those case studies to show you that this is legit. And even if you don't take my own examples into consideration, like this guy has developed some kind of offer and he's like showing some good examples. Even if you don't believe what I'm saying here, and even if you don't take my own examples into consideration, take what the biggest salespeople in the industry are doing with their own teams and even themselves. Jeremy Minor, Andy Elliott, Grant Cardone, Alex Ramosi, Patrick David, all those guys, they have insane sales teams because they're selling offers and products and courses. And all of those people are obsessed with their own, and most importantly, their sales team's health and mental performance. Simply because they understand how much it affects the success of their business. So now that you see how important mental performance is, the next problem is figuring out where to start. Because there are a million things you could have your sales teams start doing to try and improve their mental performance. Like, for example, start going to the gym, follow a carnivore diet, take nootropics, alpha GPC, lion's mane, caffeine. Start doing cold plunges, sunning their balls, doing biohacking therapy sessions with red light therapy and all that kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, all those things are great. They might help, as a matter of fact. But there are a few problems with this approach. Number one, you probably don't know how the routine of each individual closer affects their own performance individually. You don't know how the work schedule of each closer affects their recovery, stress levels, and sleep quality. You don't clearly see how the sleep quality and recovery of each closer affects their sales performance. And you don't know how your closer's hormone levels, nutrient status, and gut health are affecting their performance as well, because you don't know their levels. And lastly, you don't know how your closer's diet is affecting their digestion and therefore their mental performance. Why am I saying digestion and mental performance, for example? Well, 50% of your dopamine is produced in your gut, 90% of your serotonin is produced inside your gut, 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So quite frankly, how you feel, how motivated you are, how focused you are, has everything to do with your digestion and gut health. So in short, you know that probably exercising more, eating clean, and sleeping better is going to help your team perform better, but this is a generic approach. It's not quantifiable, and it's definitely not the way to maximize their performance. Because when you have to optimize your ad metrics, you go to the ads manager or you go to Hyros and you actually see each individual piece of metrics and you reverse engineer what you have to do to optimize every specific part of the funnel, for example. You know exactly what you need to do, but when it comes to your sales mental performance, now that you know that this hidden metric even exists, how do you improve all those different parts of their mental performance? Well, you probably don't know how to do that. So that's why I would like to introduce you to the Pure Focus program, Sales Team's Edge. Again, this is the exact protocol that I've used with all those guys to help them make more money as a result of performing better mentally. And you can copy this exact framework and apply this to yourself or your sales team. But the main thing that we do here is that we help sales teams increase their closing rate and maximize their work output and productivity using a protocol that personalizes their lifestyle and routines by integrating their health and performance data with their sales performance data with 3 steps. 3 steps that we will take your sales team through in order to unlock a competitive edge and maximize their closing rate and work output. So let's start with step number 1. We need to do what's called the performance audit. Imagine what happens when you take the brakes off a Formula One car. It's going to move faster, smoother, and performs at the highest level possible. Well, that's exactly what we do for your sales team in this first phase. Right now, your closers are unknowingly leaving money on the table because of drained energy, inconsistent focus, and unpredictable performance. Again, you don't have the quantifiable data to analyze what are the things that will allow them to predictably perform at their peak every single day. They work hard, but they aren't optimized to close deals at full capacity. So we identify the exact bottlenecks holding each rep back by collecting hard data on their health and performance. So that's exactly what we do in this step. So each one of your closers will receive our performance onboarding kit, which includes a sleep tracking device to analyze their recovery, sleep quality, and stress levels, a blood test to reveal hormonal imbalances, nutrient deficiencies, and metabolic health, a gut health test to identify digestion issues that may be silently draining their energy, a smart scale to track their body composition, muscle, body fat, and overall physical health, and a distraction blocker to limit unproductive screen time and maximize focus. While we're waiting for all the data to be gathered and completed, we are going to put your team on an optimized baseline protocol based on their current level of performance and based on the lowest hanging fruits we can easily fix. We're going to put them on an optimized diet for mental clarity and stable energy, and optimized routine and habits for good sleep, stress management, and focus. We're going to perform workspace optimization for optimal mental performance and productivity. We're going to implement a dopamine reset protocol to strategically leverage dopamine for productivity and peak focus, and have daily accountability for each one of your reps to ensure adherence and establish KPIs for high performance. Step 2, we go to the personalized protocol. Once we've established a strong foundation, we go deeper. And at this point, we've collected precise health data for each rep that will allow us to pinpoint the exact things each closer should do or not do in order to scientifically perform at their peak every single day. And using data, we structure a personalized protocol built to maximize performance on an individual level. No guessing, no generic advice. So this is where all the real optimization begins. Now, at this data, we've already established a good foundation with the baseline protocols that I walked through before in step 1. But in this step is where we personalize everything based on each member's health and performance data to maximize mental performance and work output specifically based on their metrics. So here we collect all the data from the medical testing and tracking tools and create a personalized protocol for each one of your members. This will allow us to fully personalize each member's diet and supplementation protocols based on their data. And the way that we do that is by analyzing their hormone levels, nutrient deficiencies, and metabolic health to tweak their diet for peak energy, focus, and endurance. We build every meal around their digestion to prevent brain fog and sluggishness. And then we will customize a supplementation protocol based on their data to further optimize digestion, metabolic health, mental clarity, focus, and work output. Then we will tailor the routine, habits, and sleep schedule based on the tracking. This we are going to do by structuring their morning and evening routines based on their actual sleep data, ensuring they wake up energized and ready to perform every single day consistently. Using circadian science, we are going to ensure their hardest tasks are performed at peak focus hours based on their specific circadian clock that we are going to be able to quantify and see with hard data. And by tracking their daily habits, we systematically remove behaviors that drain their energy levels, reduce focus, and lead to poor performance and inconsistency. This is quite simple math. We're going to use their own specific data. Instead of putting everyone into a cookie cutter routine, making sure they're doing the best practices, we're going to analyze their own data to optimize their mental performance. That will allow, by allowing us to see what is the 20% of things for each specific person that is yielding 80% of the results. And we're going to double down on that. Then after that, we move to step 3, which is the KPI-driven sales matrix. Most sales teams operate blindly. They track revenue, but they don't track which health or performance metrics actually drive revenue. And this is where we change the game. We integrate a daily performance dashboard that tracks each closer's energy, focus, and output, giving us full visibility into what's driving their specific numbers. And we integrate each closer's health and performance data with their sales performance metrics to create a real-time productivity tracking system. This will ensure that each rep is held accountable based on the numbers, while also identifying which habits and routines lead to the highest closing rates. Again, your closers might tell you that they wake up at specific times, or that they might send you screenshots from their calories or their habits or their journals, but numbers don't lie. And by tracking each rep's daily performance metrics and identifying the specific behaviors that lead to higher output, we ensure that the team consistently improves. This approach allows us to address performance gaps in real time, every single day, optimize daily routines, implement targeted adjustments that directly impact close rates, efficiency, and revenue growth. We are going to pretty much see from each specific closer their adherence to the to the protocols that you have allocated to them or you have assigned to them. How are those things affecting their sleep quality and recovery? And also, how are those things correlating with their closing rate? So we are going to be able to see who is the most recovered sales rep, the most energized, the most focused, and who is collecting more money. And this will allow us to have a constant feedback and data from each rep's sales performance, as well as their daily habits, energy levels, recovery, and routines. And by seeing patterns daily, every single day, every single time, we course correct daily to keep each rep performing at their highest level. And here's where it gets really, really powerful, because we will keep them accountable based on the things that they're doing wrong every day, but also based on the things that they're doing it's negatively affecting their sales performance and mental performance. Once we identify the habits and routines of your top closers, we will build a system that automatically prioritizes high value leads for those specific reps. So this means that your best closers always get the best leads. So we essentially prioritize the calendar of the highest performing closer that we see on the dashboard, not only based on their cash collected, but also a collective data analysis from their energy levels, the adherence to their protocols, and the things that will make them statistically perform at the highest level, as well as collect the most cash. And we will prioritize every single day. We will automatically prioritize the calendar of the highest likely person to perform, and just prioritize less the person that is not recovered well, stress levels, energy level. Based on those metrics and based on the cash collected, we're going to see the correlation and create the system for you. Now, why this works? This works because your competitors are guessing their way through sales team performance. So the average sales team is definitely going to apply something to improve their sales team's performance. Like, for example, as I said before, make them eat healthier, tell them to sleep better, tell them to exercise every single day. But the thing is that we don't have tangible data for each individual person, because each person's biology and the things that will influence my mental performance are completely different from the things that might influence Bob's mental performance. So we will be using this protocol. We will be scientifically engineering each one of your sales reps' mental performance and exactly what they should be doing or not doing every day, eating, and even how they should be going around their structuring their calendar, scientifically engineering their way to peak performance. So the difference is that your competition is reactive, you are proactive. And this is not about getting a 5% boost in sales. It's about creating a world-class, high-performance closing machine that drives revenue predictably, consistently, and at a higher level than anyone else in your industry. Everyone can eat healthy, abuse Zins, and take 3 cold plunges a day. But that's a generic cookie-cutter approach that may work for some people, may not work for others, and it's certainly not a long-term solution that will allow your team to predictably perform at their peak every single day. It may work, it may not work. You never know. So where do we go from here? What is the next step from you? In reality, if we look at it from a pragmatic perspective, you have 3 options. Option number 1 is you keep implementing what's so-called the best practices for your sales team in order for them to perform better. And you just keep doing what you were doing before, acting like you never read any of this or you never watched any of this. You do cold showers, you tell them to eat healthy, or you eat healthy yourself and keep moving more, going to the gym, doing cardio, running, jogging, whatever, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. And as a result, you might have to replace your closers at some point. You might have to leave hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on the table. And you might have to keep spending more energy and more money on training them even more, because you're not addressing the elephant in the room, but you think that it's maybe their closing rate, it's maybe you maybe need to find better people, but actually their brains are not working properly. Option number 2 is you try to implement all of this by yourself. It's 100% doable, and that's exactly why I created this video, but it will probably take you months and months of researching and brainstorming to how to actually create the system and put this all together so that you use the right data, so that you know how to interpret the data, so you can understand how to optimize your team health and performance, and use the data to essentially create the protocol according to each individual. But like, for example, just for context, I spent over $100,000 on medical tests, biohacks, crazy supplements, diets, coaching, webinars to try and figure this out in the past 12 years. So it will probably also cost you a lot of money buying equipment, supplements, or gadgets you may not actually need in the first place, and a lot of time you could otherwise spend in deep work and generally growing the business. So it's something that is 100% doable, but it's going to take a lot of time, effort, mental real estate, and money. Now, option number 3 is, again, this is an optional thing you can do. You can, since we do that and we have the proven system that works, you can get on a call with me or my team, and you let us integrate this protocol for your sales team so we can maximize their mental performance and turn them into dialed-in machines that print money for you. That way, you can then remove the guesswork or this extra variable from your plate and let us do what we do best. So you can focus on deep work, so you can focus on big thinking, and whatever moves the needle forward for your business faster. Again, I'm going to leave this document so you can, if you want, you can book a call from my calendar. But remember, you don't even have to take my word for it. This has worked for hundreds of other entrepreneurs, executives, and sales professionals. And you can listen to them and what they have to say here. You have the link, you can watch through the videos and maybe convince yourself that this works. So if you're interested in exploring how we can integrate this protocol for your sales team to maximize their mental performance so they can double, triple, or even quadruple their work output and productivity quantifiably, we can see that with data, then here's what's going to happen. We can jump on a qualifying call and see if we were the right fit, if this makes sense for any of us, for the both of us, as well as answer more of your questions about the whole process and price. After that, we'll probably take care of the investment and onboarding, and we'll get started right away with step number 1, which is the performance audit that I walked through before. And after that point on, it will be time to let us do what we know best, and your sales team will be in good hands.